Hi, I'm Keely, and I am going to head up the historical part of our video series on the history of Ireland. We all know Ireland is a place that is full of shamrocks and leprechauns and whiskey and redheads. So those are stereotypes of what Ireland is now, but what about its history? Where do the people of Ireland come from? I'm hoping to hit the tip of the iceberg about where Ireland comes from. This part of Irish history is based on archaeological findings. It's all proto-history or prehistory, which means it's from before there was writing. This prehistoric period in Ireland dates from 8000 BC until 400 AD. That's later than any other country in Europe. Earliest sites from the Mesolithic era are all across Ireland, and those are the ones that are from about 8000 BC until 4000 BC. These people came to Ireland from England in small boats, and they lived mostly in the coastal cities. These people ate seafood, birds, wild boar, and hazelnuts, but not deer, which were then introduced later in the Neolithic era, around 4000 BC. The Neolithic period was from about 4000 BC to 2500 BC, which would be the next period in Irish history. This is about 2,000 years after all the other European countries hit the same time of domestication, cultivation, and houses. The animals that were domesticated during this time in Ireland were sheep, goats, cattle, and cereal. No, they weren't eating Lucky Charms. And by cereal, I mean types of grain, which were predominantly wheat and barley. The wheats weren't doing as well as they were in other areas, as Ireland has a cooler climate than most of Central Europe. Ireland developed pottery at this time, similarly to other European countries had as well. The biggest reminder of this time period is the Megalithic Monuments, which still stand today. These are places of ceremonial and religious importance to the people. Inside of the excavated tombs, they found cremated human remains, as well as arrowheads, beads, and numerous kinds of jewelry. There are four main kinds of tombs across Ireland that make up over 1,200 monuments. There are court, passage, portal, and tomb. The Copper and Bronze Age was brought to Ireland by the Bell Beaker people, who are known for their very specific pottery, and they also brought metallurgy to Ireland as well. This time period began about 2500 BC and lasted until 500 BC. During this time period, there were between 100 and 200,000 people living on the island of Ireland. Archaeologists can tell the difference between the Copper and the Bronze Age from the type of axes that were used. Copper and tin were alloyed starting in about 2000 BC to create bronze. The copper was mined in Ireland while the tin was mined in Cornwall, Britain. This bronze that was created was used for all kinds of weapons and tools. One of the things that craftsmen in Ireland were known for were these horn-shaped trumpets. This is also the time period when native gold of Ireland began to be crafted into different things. There have been more gold hoards found in Ireland than any other country in Europe. This native Irish gold has been found as far north as Scandinavia and as far south as Germany. The Bronze Age lasted until 500 BC. The Iron Age began in 500 BC and lasted until about 400 AD. 400 AD was about the time that Christianity began to become popular in Ireland. During Ireland's Iron Age, the Romans were ruling Britain, and we have record that they did know of Ireland's existence. However, at this time it was still considered prehistory in Ireland, as they still had not formed writing. They were still behind. The early to mid-Iron Ages were considered Ireland's Dark Age, as there was less human activity during this time than any other time before or after it. Some historians believe that Ireland was able to recover from this dark period, though, because of their trade with Britain. There's very little art left from this period, which was called Celtic Art. However, the early Christian period brought back this art with insular art, with artifacts like the Book of Kells. The stereotypes of Ireland being backwards may come from this time period, as Ireland was behind the times by a significant amount of time. I realize that this video is kind of vague, but it also covered over 8,000 years of history in one video. Next time I'll be talking about the early Christian era in Ireland and where Ireland went from there. I'm Keely, and I'll see you next time.